There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Your food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Chicken Wings. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave.
Hi, this is Greg MacPherson from Inside Track Motorsport News, and this is Inside Track TV. We're joined today by Mark Rinaldi. It's got a family-run racetrack about 90 minutes east of Toronto, just below the 401, called Brighton Speedway, that's been running since 1967. So, Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So I was chatting a little earlier with NASCAR Pinty Series announcer Adam Ross, and I was saying, how the racing industry, I've seen a lot of notices about the tracks, schedules being shut down and, pending approval from the government and, health regulations, which is fine. And that's the way things have to be. But I was kind of saying, it's too bad nobody's doing something. Like I follow the golf industry, and I've seen they've been quite active, sort of working together and setting out the ground rules for things to make themselves, I guess, more attractive as a target for opening sooner than later. So when I mentioned that, he brought you up, Mark, saying that you'd already sort of started the ball rolling on some things in terms of connecting with other members of the industry.
Yeah, I think we'd all, I wouldn't say we'd all, but I mean, I talked to a number of them, mostly in the dirt scene. And we'd all been kind of chatting and nobody really knowing what's happening. And then, I think last week, the real eye opener was both Premier Doug Ford and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had both mentioned at different times that, professional sports and concerts might be one of the last things to reopen. And I think that's when it sort of really hit me. And, we don't really want to be lumped in with professional sports or big time concerts. We're a bit of a unique group, and to be honest with you, we probably weren't on anybody in the government's radar. So I just, same thing. I started calling around a few other promoters and got talking to a few people. And that prompted me last Thursday to send out kind of a generic email to, I don't know, I sent it to probably about 20 or 30 tracks across the province that I could find that if I didn't have an email address for, we just went onto their websites and got email addresses. So had some pretty good feedback right away. And I think we're up to about 23 tracks that are sort of supporting our initiative and still chasing down a few of the stragglers that haven't jumped on board yet.
Okay. This past Saturday night would have been your opener. So you're already into times now, weeks that, it's a short season and you're already missing weeks.
Yeah.
What do you hope for? I know the province just announced sort of another extension of the emergency period through May 19.
Yeah, and I guess that was one of the other things that sort of prompted us is that nobody was really talking about racing, and we were set to open up. I mean, obviously we knew for a while we wouldn't open on May 2nd, but we were set to open up, and we didn't have a plan. We don't have any guidance. Paul from Brockville talked to the township and asked about holding an event, even if it was just a practice event, and he got shut down, saying that they were still waiting on guidance from the province. And I know Brighton Speedway, same thing. They had approached their local health department, and everybody was getting the same answer that we're not an essential business, and so really until they get guidance from the province, we didn't know what was going to happen. So we wanted to sort of take matters into our own hands, and let's put a plan together that we feel we can operate in a safe manner and put it in front of the government. It'll just be a set of guidelines. I mean, obviously for every facility, there's going to be a different specific plan, but if we put a set of guidelines together that the province approves, then each track and each facility can go to their local health department and put a plan that's specific to their facility based on those guidelines. So that's our goal.
It just seems like it makes a lot more sense if you guys can present a unified, front with ideas about how you can present a safe atmosphere for the competitors and fans. So much easier than, like you say, one by one, you appealing. Like you see the stuff, getting back to the golf example, like where they say, you're not coming in the clubhouse, only family members in a cart, nobody's touching the pin, don't shake hands after. And like, they seem like a lot of common sense things, but the fact that as an industry, they're saying, yeah, we're all good with this. We can line up, and this will keep our people safe. Then you think it's got a better chance of getting a kind ear.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like I kind of alluded to, is that I don't think anybody, a lot of the politicians, unfortunately, up here in Canada, Ontario, motor racing is not what it is in the state of Texas or the state of Florida, where it's a very high profile event. I mean, obviously to you and to me, it's a very high profile event, but probably not to a lot of the politicians. And we don't have a lobby group like the golfers do, or like the campgrounds, or like some of these other big, more popular, or I would say more mainstream sporting events. So it's up to us to put ourselves in front of them. And like you said, if we can present a plan to them that sets the rules and the guidelines down, then we won't get lumped into some other industry or some other sport that's maybe not directly representative of what we do. So, like I said, our plan is to put, it's sort of a 3-step plan, to put guidelines in front of the province that then each track or facility would then take to, once the guidelines are approved, then they would take that to the local municipality and get local approval with a plan based on the guidelines. So, and the guidelines are going to be, I'm going to say generic to facilities, because, we're working with road courses, we're working with drag strips. There's been a little bit of interest from some go-kart tracks that now want to get on board. Oval tracks, dirt tracks, paved tracks, we're being non-discriminatory. We're just trying to get the whole motorsports industry, all the facilities anyways, to support this. And then, hopefully the government will recognize us as an industry and hopefully accept the plan that we put forward so that we can get moving forward.
Okay. And like you said, the racing industry, it's so varied in terms of what racing as businesses look like. So next week when they open at Darlington and it's NASCAR and there are no fans, they're going to have a massive TV crowd that allows that to happen. That's not the reality for Brighton Speedway. How do you envision, like, say, step one to be the when your track opens for business again?
So, step one that we've kind of discussed with the promoters is, step one, we're kind of calling it back to the track and initiative. That's what we've put it. And step one of that would be putting a plan together where we can all do a track day, what you can call a test and tune, a practice day, a track event that would see just competitors with a few staff members that can come out and practice and enjoy the sport they love in a safe environment. So like you said, every facility is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, you can fit a lot more people around Shannonville Motorsport Park than what you can around Brighton Speedway, and drag strips would once again take the guidelines set out around a practice event and apply it to their situation. So that would be step one, was that we can have what we're calling a track day. Step two would be for facilities that think they can do a no fan event, actual running of a racing event with no fans. That's not in our plans. It's not viable for our track, but there's some tracks that feel that maybe that's something they want to explore. So we're going to put it in there. And then step three would be to be geared towards holding an event with fans, but still with restrictions in the environment that we're in. Maybe not. Obviously, we're going to need a couple more levels of government restrictions lifted to get to step three, but I don't think we're going back. We'll be lucky before the end of the year if we're allowed to hold any events without any restrictions. So step three is geared around holding an event with fans when there would be still restrictions in place. Okay.
And I guess your family, you have a bit of an advantage, and it's a good thing you're kind of leading this because your dad's involved in politics, and he's been at several levels. And do you find that's helpful at all in terms of, knowing how to approach people?
Yeah. I mean, I said it last night on Adams and Clinton's show, was that anybody can get to your level of government and get to your get your message heard. It's just the amount of effort it takes to get it there. So it certainly is a little bit easier with my father Lou's connections and his knowledge of navigating the political system. However, one of our biggest leads came from Alex Nagy at UCASA, who reached out to his MPP directly. And his MP happens to be sitting on a committee that's looking at specialty businesses such as golf courses, campgrounds, and now motorsports is on their agenda because we've gotten to them through Alex. So
nice.
It turns out that my father knew Toby Barrett, who's Alex's MPP, and has since had further conversations with him. And we've also reached out to the Minister of Sports, Recreation, and Culture, Lisa McLeod's office, and had some good dialogue with them as well, who's heading up that committee. So we're making good progress, getting our names out there and getting ourselves in front of some of these people. I think we're probably 2 weeks too late. We probably should have started this earlier, but like I said, the reality didn't really sink in for me until I kind of heard some of the words that were coming out last week when they were talking about opening things up. But bigger events were not going to be something, and I had a bad feeling that we were going to be lumped into bigger events.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted me to start pushing and making some calls. And the more you talk to all the tracks, a lot of tracks had reached out individually, but now we're all reaching out in a consolidated effort and going in the same direction.
No, that's just amazing. Like, on behalf of all of us, thanks for doing that. Like I said, I went from just having the idea this morning and, seeing some emails and things going on in the States where you've got groups, advocating, on behalf of everybody. And the fact that you've already connected with so many of your peers and reached out to politicians, then that's just, I think that puts us ahead in terms of the timeline when things might open up again.
Okay, so yeah, it's not just me. Like I said, it's a lot of other people. Last Thursday, I sent out this email, and within 5 minutes, Alex Nagy had responded saying this is exactly what we need. Right. So other people were having these conversations. The tracks from way up north, up in Thunder Bay, have been in touch with me and are all supporting it. So. Other people had the thoughts, and everybody's been wondering what steps to take. So it just took an email for me to get everybody consolidated, and it's really come alive. And like I said, now I'm sort of getting calls daily from more people asking how they can support or how they can be involved.
Okay, if anyone is interested in connecting with you directly, what's the best way?
Mark at Brighton Speedway is probably Mark at BrightonSpeedway.com is the best email address for me, or you can just go to BrightonSpeedway.com and you can find all our contact details.
Okay.
You'll either get my wife or Angela or myself. And then, so a lot of people have been asking, well, what can the support clubs and the fans and drivers do? And sort of my answer to that has been, once we haven't actually submitted the plan to the government yet. So the agenda for that is hopefully by tomorrow we'll have it out to the rest of the promoters and get their feedback tomorrow and Friday, and then either by the end of the day, Friday, or first thing, or over the weekend, submit it to Lisa McLeod's office and copy a few other key MPPs that we've been in touch with. So that'll be the plan to get that's the agenda to get the plan in, and then. Okay. Once that plan's in there and starts getting reviewed, then what we can do is start, depending on the feedback, we hopefully won't need any lobbying. I talked to my MPP here locally this morning, David Piscini. He was very positive. He thought the plan, the way that we're looking at moving forward, he thought that was a great plan, and he doesn't really differentiate us from a golf course, especially when it comes to stuff like practice events. As long as you're doing things in a safe manner, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to open up, was his words. Excellent. So, he kind of felt, he didn't want to put any timelines to anything, but he kind of felt that we'd be on the same timeline as everybody else, but we got to get the plan there. So okay. I would say if we don't get the plan in front of, or if we get a plan in front of them, and we don't see any movement in the right directions, that's when, maybe we can start stuff like petitions and asking race car drivers and, all the traveling clubs and stuff like that to start writing their MPPs and try to get that moving. But,
I ended up doing that. I think one or two of them for golf, and it's not confrontational. It's just like a show of support for an industry saying like, this is important to us and, please consider it.
And that's, I think once we get the plan there, if things start dragging out, then within a week, if we're not getting any sort of feedback, then, that's when we're going to reach out to industry and come up with a way that people can get behind it and support it and show their politicians that this is an important sport to us all, and it's,
I know it has a tendency to be off the radar in terms of, mainstream coverage of who are occupied with other things, but there are certainly a lot of people out there, especially in rural areas, who this is a huge part of their lives on weekends, especially.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like I'm talking 23 facilities right now, and I'd like to get the number up to 30 before the end of the week when we do actually submit a plan. But, you take those 30 facilities and you take all the hobby racers all around Canada. I mean, there's some people that do it for a profession, but, in Ontario, most of them are for a hobby, whether you're talking a road course, a drag strip, or an oval track.
Yeah.
And you're in the thousands, and then you take the fans and you're in the hundreds of thousands, right? So it is a significant number. I don't have exact numbers. I was hoping that we don't get to a point that we need to start proving our worth, because I think just on the fact that, we have, like I said, 23 and hopefully more facilities within the province, that should be significant enough. But if we need to get 50,000 people to sign a petition and we work hard, I'm sure we could probably do that too.
Yeah. Anyway, just really appreciate what you're doing and taking the initiative, and I think it'll benefit all of us. So anything we can do to help or help inform people, then please let me know.
Yeah, I appreciate your guys' support. I think this is third interview I've done this week, and we're just the same thing. Just try to get the word out. The biggest thing is to keep everybody positive. I think that we need to remain positive. We need people to think we are going to be racing, and it's a mental health thing too, right? People put their heart and soul and their hard-earned money into this sport, especially from a racer's standpoint. They don't want to be sitting there with all that sitting in the garage feeling like it's going to go to waste. So we're working hard to get you guys back onto the track, and eventually, hopefully, get the fans back to the track too.
No, excellent. Okay, thanks so much. It's Mark Rinaldi from Brighton Speedway.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Mark.